All right, I'm going to show you a couple of basics in Excel using this spreadsheet. So the data here is different from what the data looks like in your spreadsheet, but I just wanted to show you how to do these functions and give you a little tour of some of the things you can do in Excel. So we have a spreadsheet of 200 people with various data that was collected, their occupation, how much movement they are getting in their day-to-day lives, how sedentary or active they are, the wear on their joints, and calcium levels, and some various other things here. So the first task you need to do is just simply add the calcium data from individual 23 and individual 95. So these are all cells here, and you'll notice that there are these letters and numbers, and this helps you reference a specific cell. So for instance, this cell here where I'm pointing to cell A4. So when you're using formulas in Excel, they are giving instructions on what to do in the spreadsheet. It could be mathematical equations and instructions for calculating that, or it could be some other kinds of instructions. But basically, we will go to the cell that we want to get our values calculated in. And you start off with an equal sign to start off your formula. And we're just going to add these numbers together. So individual 23, that is this person here. So that's cell G26 plus individual 95. So that is this person here, G98, and then we will press enter and it will calculate the data here. And we're going to do a similar thing, but this time we're just going to subtract. So individual 13 minus 108. For this one, we're going to multiply individual 15 and use the asterisk sign to multiply times individual 2. And for this one, we will divide individual 200 divided by individual 18. And for this one, I want to show you guys how to take a percentage or how to convert to a percentage. So we just divided these two numbers and we got this decimal here. So we can convert that to a percentage. So one thing you can do with Excel is copy formulas down and copy data down. So that can be useful. Like for instance, if you want to have a list and instead of writing every number, you can just click and drag and it will fill out everything. And it will copy down formulas. So we want to use the same formula here, but you'll notice that it slightly adjusts, goes down in a spreadsheet. So we had cell G203 divided by G21. This went slightly down. So Excel will go down in the spreadsheet when you copy and drag. So you have to make sure that that does not happen. So one way to prevent this is to put in $signs like this. This will lock the cell in place or lock the formula in place. So if you copy it, it doesn't change the formula. It uses the exact same formula instead of adjusting it. So if I clicked and dragged this time, it would be exactly the same. So that's what those dollar signs are used for. They're used to keep the reference the same. And then, since this was the same formula we were doing, but we're just taking the percentage, you can convert that to a percentage here. There might be different tabs on your Excel spreadsheet, so you may have to look around and find that. But there are these different formats, like you can have Excel formatted in currency instead of just general numbers and time, dates, fractions, and whatnot. So you could also do it this way, find the percentage. But in mine, it's right here, so that's pretty easy. You can also adjust the decimal places and make fewer decimal places or more decimal places. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So the next thing we're going to do is a sum function for the number of cars owned. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can simply just type in equal, type in sum to start the function that we're going to use, and then parentheses, and it tells you to add all the numbers that you're trying to add here. So I'm just going to select, and in order to select multiple cells, you can click and drag, but when you have a large spreadsheet, it might be easier to press Control-Shift down arrow, and it will select everything there. So then I'm going to close the parentheses and press enter, and that will give us a sum. So another thing Excel will do is sometimes if you go below the column that you're trying to add up and press the auto sum button, it will automatically calculate that. So that's much easier than actually individually adding each one. You can just do a sum function. An average function is the same kind of idea. We type in average, and we want to find the average occupational activity. So we're going to select everything in that column, press enter. Now it gives us an average, but this is a decimal. So if you wanted to find an average but have it round up, you can use a combination of functions. So we can use a round function, and what we're going to round is the average bone health. So we're going to type in average, select this column, into parentheses. So that's the first function. It's basically a function within a function. We want to take the average, and then we want to round it to the nearest whole number. So we'll type a 0 in there. And now our formula should be complete. So I will press enter. And you can see that it has rounded the number to a whole number. So in order to find the youngest age, we can try and sort our table. So if you go to data, there are different ways of doing this. You might be able to click on the sort button. And we want to sort from smallest to largest, and 18 is the smallest age here. I'm just going to undo that. So there are different ways of sorting, but you can sort in largest to smallest, sort in other ways, sort by multiple criteria. So now we want to find the number of women in this data set. How many of the 200 people are women? So to do this, we'll use a COUNTIF function. we'll select this column here and then put a comma, and we need our criteria. So we want to look at this column and count how many individuals are female. So I'm going to put that in parentheses, and it will look for that text basically and count how many cells have that text in it. Then I will press enter, and it says there are 87. So now what we're going to do is use a random number generator and randomly generate the number of pets in this column and then take the sum of that. So we are going to put in our equal sign and put in rand between. And the instructions for this are between 0 and 2. Then we will close parentheses. So if we go to this little square at the bottom right hand of the cell, if you double click it, it will automatically fill out the column. You could also just click and drag to fill it out like this, but it's a bit easier to just double click and have it filled out. So if you notice, these numbers are going to keep changing every time you do something in your spreadsheet. The numbers will change, and that's because the random number generator functions are considered volatile and they keep generating new numbers. So we want to keep our numbers the same. So what I will do is do a Control-Shift down arrow to select everything, then copy, and then I'm just going to paste the values. So that basically gets rid of the formula and just pastes the numbers that we randomly generated. So it won't change anymore. Those numbers are static. That's what we want. So now we can take a sum function of all of the pets, do Control-Shift down arrow, close the parentheses, and that will give us that data there. So now we want to do a search for the individual with this calcium level here. I'm just going to copy that. And to do a search, you can press Control F and just paste in what we're searching for, and it will find it on the spreadsheet. So that would be individual 14. And the last thing we're going to do is a conditional formatting function, or a conditional formatting style, I guess. And we want the activity level column to change the cells to look green if the number is greater than 2, and to look red if the number is less than 3. So we're going to go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules. You could go to new rule or manage rules, but we're going to start with greater than this option. So we'll do greater than 2 and just choose one. We'll use the green fill, and then we'll go there again, less than 3, and use the red fill. So now it should work. If a number is greater than 2, it should be green. If it's less than 3, it should be red. So now we want to see what the color is for individual 28. So it is green for that person. So that's how you will complete this spreadsheet and fill in your answers in this sort of Excel scavenger hunt. And these are a couple of basics to just get you used to working in a spreadsheet like this, so that you have a better idea of how to manipulate data sets. And that's it.